Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Muntadar Ahmed and today I will walk you through a student management system project that I have built and explain how it works from a user perspective, and also briefly cover the architecture of this project and some technical decisions regarding it. So, first of all, this project was built to simulate a real-world student management system where data such as students, grades, subjects are stored in a structured way in the database and handled and updated in real time. The main goal of this application was to practice full CRUD operations, front-end to back-end logic communication, and also database integration and design using only vanilla JavaScript without any frameworks. About the tech stack, I have used vanilla JavaScript alongside HTML and CSS for the front end, and also Python, SQL, MySQL for the backend. I am also using XAMPP local server if you want to run this application on your local PC. And by the way, I have a full guide on how to do so in the README of this application in the GitHub repo, and I will leave the link in the description. If you wanted to run this application on your local PC, you would want to fire up your local server, any server that you are using. I am currently using XAMPP, so I have run the Apache server and the MySQL, and I am adminning the MySQL server right here. You would also want to run the server.py file that I have in the backend folder of this application. This acts as the receiver for the HTTP requests. And also, you would want to download the MySQL library to handle the queries and the database connection. And if you do so, you are good to go. So, about the main architecture of this application, I have used and implemented the separation of concerns for the users. So when a user wants to see data and info related to students, he would come to this section. Same applies for grades, subjects, and so on. So if we wanted to test this real quick, we'll just go to students, for example. We can view all students in our database. We can search one student, and we can add students. If we come here, for example, here are all the info regarding all the students that we have in our database. And we can also update the teacher notes and the student names here. For example, let's just write this real quick. And by the way, I have used optimistic updates in the client side right here. And also, whenever the user leaves this input or this form, the data is already updated in the database, and also keeping it synced with the database using optimistic updates in the client side. So if we go back, we come back here, the student is already updated. And if we wanted to search, if we wanted, sorry, to delete the student, for example, like this, we would go back. The student is no longer here. We can also search for students, like take this name real quick. We come here, we search for students, and we'll have all the info related to that student. And we can also update the student name and the teacher notes from here. By the way, I don't allow updating the grades in this application. I'd add this option later, but not now. If we go back, we can, by the way, I have the ability to search partially for student name. So if we just wrote Omar real quick, we'll find him, the same student that we found earlier on. And if we wanted to add a student, for example, we can just come right over here, write my name, for example, some teacher notes, and I'll have to pick which grade that I belong to. For example, let's say I am grade 9, and here I tell the user that this is the grade for the students. We just come here, press enter. Each and every grade has subjects taught in it. So for example, if I am grade 9, I have to take at least one of these subjects. Let's say I am taking math and English, okay? And we add the student. We come here, and here I am. Let's just take this name because we'll need it later on. And if we go back, same applies for the grades. Like I have full CRUD operations for the grades. Like for example, we can add a grade, we can view all grades. If we wanted to add a grade, let's say test right here. If we go back, these are all the grades that I have added earlier on, and this is the new grade that I have added. We can also delete it, of course, because we don't need this one. And we can also view all the students in one grade. For example, if we wanted grade 9, which I am a part in right now, here I am, and so on. I'm not going to show the full usage of this application because this video would be like 20 minutes long. It's already running long right now. I will just show briefly how to run the exams, for example, for a single student. Like we can add an exam, we can see marks for all students or one student. If we wanted to add an exam, for example, let's say the grade that is taking this exam is, for example, grade 9, which is the one that I am a part in. Let's say the exam type is quiz, for example. The date, let's say 9/9, anything. And by the way, I haven't set the data type for this input to be date because I wanted this application to be versatile and scalable. And many schools input data related to dates differently. So for example, we can write here, let's say month 9 or so. So I wanted to make it versatile, not force the user to input certain data types. And here we just pick the subject that is related to that test. Let's say it's English. I am taking English, so if we proceed, here are all the students that are taking the English subject in this grade, and each and every one must have input for the marks that they have taken. For example, here they are taking 100, they're taking, let's say, 40. And by the way, I cannot input data more than 100, and I cannot input negative data. So here, let's say he's taking 80. And for the convenience, since I am the owner of this app, I am taking 100, okay? If we add marks, these marks are added in the exams. If we come here, we search marks for all students. Let's say I want to see all marks for the students in grade 9 for the subject which is English. Here are all the tests that the student have taken regarding the English subject. For example, these are the ones that we have added. We have added earlier on. The score right here and the student names are right here. Okay. So if we went back, we can also view the GPAs for students. Let's say if we wanted to view for all students, let's say for all students in grade 9 or this time grade 7, and the subject is optional. If we do not input the subject, the overall GPA will be calculated for all subjects, and we can also view GPA for one subject. That was a brief showcase of how the app works. You can also run it on your local PC, and I am happy to receive any feedback that you have. And I have a simple setup for to control the appearance of the app. For example, I have light mode, or more particularly a pink mode. I wanted to make it different. And we can also toggle the background effects, which has some nice animation in the background, but also it takes a lot of GPU power right here. You'll see briefly. Yeah. So I have added the ability to respect the user preference and toggle this background effect. And also I have the source code right here that links to GitHub. I have a simple usage guide that you may find useful. And also I have the database right here. We can open this window using this button. We do not need to fire up this. We need to fire it up, but we do not need to admin it from here. Like we can just open this window from this button. Okay. So if we wanted to take a quick look about the architecture or code in this application, I have a backend folder and a front-end folder. In the backend folder, by the way, I have this schema.sql that gives code to initialize all the tables in this application. If you wanted to run this application in a different way, you have this code to initialize all the tables used in this application. And also, we can take a quick look about the architecture of this application from the backend side, like the tables. For example, here we have the students to the grades table. It has a one-to-many relationship. Same applies for the students connecting to student subjects and so on. This is a brief showcase. I'm not going to go into the details. You can also view it yourself if you want to. So this is the server.py file we have talked about earlier on. And here we have the front end folder that has all the logic related to the front end. For example, in the CSS folder, I have the CSS components here, each and every component in this application, the main.css that has the general rules, the menu that initializes the menu, the table, and so on. And here in the JavaScript file, each and every, for example, students, subjects, it has a certain file that initializes the main button right here. So this button initialized by this file, JavaScript file, if clicked, it will initialize another buttons and so on. Every single thing related to students is in this file, JavaScript file, and so on. The same applies for grades, subjects, and so on. This, for example, is the DOM utilities used in this application to initialize the button itself from a DOM manipulation side. And this menu has also a file, and how we call these files, we just import them. We just import the files in a correct manner so that the stuff used by this file will also be used by this file, for example. So we call them in a correct manner so that the final bundle JavaScript file in the final bundle will have access to everything related to anything about the files. I hope this makes sense. And also, this is a general look on the initial HTML file right here. This is the file, and we also manipulate the DOM as we go. I hope this made sense. I hope this was a good video. I hope this was like clear and good. That was a general walkthrough about the student management system project, and the full source code, setup instruction, and documentation are available on GitHub again. And also, I am happy to receive any feedback from you, and the links in the description. Thank you so much for watching.